The internet. A revolutionary invention that has completely and utterly changed the world and has redirected the future. An interconnected network of computers that allows people to share and retrieve information almost instantaneously is an absolutely revolutionary creation that has allowed us as humans to exponentially increase our rate of scientific and social growth. Anyways, whatever you choose to use the internet for, it only makes sense to wonder, where did it all start? Well, a quick Google search leads you to two names, Bob Kahn and Vint Cerf. Even though these men absolutely played crucial roles in the making of the internet that we have today, the true history of the internet is a little more complicated than two guys sitting down one day and deciding to make one of the most epic inventions of the 20th century. Surprisingly enough, the idea of an interconnected network, or an internet of sorts, actually began circulating long before we had the technology capable of global wireless connections. To put it into perspective, even Nikola Tesla toyed with the idea of a world wireless system, which he accurately predicted would lead to the birth of countless other inventions, such as a smartphone. Only during the Cold War was the idea of an internet finally taken seriously when America became concerned that the Soviet Union would attack the telephone network, completely wiping out the possibility for any fast long-distance communication. For a long time, no progress was made. But after the Soviet Union launched the first man-made satellite into outer space, America realized it was starting to fall behind in terms of science and research. And thus, NASA and ARPA were formed to develop America's technology and weapons. In 1962, an MIT and ARPA scientist by the name of J.C.R. Licklider proposed a galactic network of computers that would communicate with each other, particularly one that would allow for communication independent of the telephone network. This network, named the ARPANET, was later developed by Bob Kahn, one of the guys from that initial Google search. 3 years later, in 1965, a different MIT scientist developed packet switching, a process which breaks down information into smaller packets that then take different routes to get to a desired destination. To put it briefly, packet switching made information being sent over the ARPANET more secure, which was pretty important considering, the Cold War. Finally, 4 years later, on October 19, 1969, the first message was sent over the internet from UCLA to Stanford. The message was simply the word log in, but it caused the internet to crash and only the first two letters actually went through. Still, this was a great achievement towards the internet that we know today. And just a quick pause, if this doesn't summarize a computer science experience, then I'm not really sure what does. By the end of that year, only 4 computers were connected to the internet, but the process of packet switching was already becoming very difficult to maintain. Vint Cerf, the second guy from that Google search, came up with a process called Transmission Control Protocol Internet Protocol, or shortened to TCP/IP, which we still use today. This new system completely transformed the way the network functioned and allowed the internet to go global. Throughout the 80s, the internet was mainly used by researchers and scientists, but big changes were coming. In 1991, a British computer scientist by the name of Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web, which is what we use today. It was a new type of internet that could be used by anyone to retrieve information, not just to be used to send files from one computer to another. Of course, since then, the internet has continued to morph into what we use today. In 1992, a group of students from the University of Illinois created the first sophisticated web browser, which would eventually be named Netscape. Later that same year, Congress decided that the web could also be used for commercial purposes, encouraging companies to set up websites of their own. And as the internet has progressed, everyone has been given a space to share their own creativity. At the end of the day, it's pretty hard to pinpoint a single inventor of the internet. Kahn and Cerf, of course, played crucial roles and are usually given credit for the internet. But the modern web that we use today was developed by Berners-Lee, and even his accomplishments would not have been possible without the progress of scientists and researchers that worked on the internet for years. Finally, if you've made it this far into the video, I'd like to say thank you very much for staying with me until the end. Hopefully you've learned something today, and hopefully you found this video at least somewhat interesting. This is my first video, so that is kind of exciting. If you're interested in learning more about the internet, I link the sources that I've used for this video down below in the description.